everyone. Hello. The idea, insight, or sales secret you need for massive impact is just moments away. It's time to get more clients. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Get More Clients. I'm your host, Lynn Whitbeck. Business owners and entrepreneurs hire me to ignite winning sales because most fail to connect, capture, and close their ideal clients. The mission of this show is to share Fortune 500 sales secrets to open the vault to your greater business success. Now, I want to tell you about someone who is very special to me. And my niece, Rachel, has struggled with imposter syndrome for a lot of her life, really ever since entering college. For Rachel, imposter syndrome saps her knowledge, motivation, and her confidence. So, as Rachel says, looking back, I can honestly say I've accomplished a lot so far in my life, but although I knew it, I don't necessarily believe it. I've felt out of place at nearly every one of the institutions I've been a part of because deep down, I don't feel smart enough or accomplished enough or worthy enough to be there. My therapist has indicated that, like so many others, I suffer from imposter syndrome. So, this is something that is out there for all kinds of different people. So, if you are one of those, like Rachel, you may suffer with imposter syndrome. And for most who do suffer with imposter syndrome, you're convinced you aren't actually capable, you're not good enough, you're not worthy, and that you can't accomplish all of the goals that you have. Most importantly, it comes from and with the perception or the fear that people are going to find out that you're not as good as they think you are. Rather, they're going to realize that you're an imposter, maybe even a liar. This is what's going on deep inside and in your mind. It is so much more than someone who's experiencing self-doubt. Imposter syndrome literally shows up as if you don't feel like you deserve a seat at the table. And this is the point that Rachel was asked. And this caused major challenges and damages to her goals and performance. Now, the good news is that Rachel has learned ways to combat imposter syndrome and realize her value. She's excited to have taken the journey to kick imposter syndrome's butt. Her words, not mine. And the journey of combating imposter syndrome can be especially true in sales. In sales, you need all the confidence you can get. You need to know what it is you're selling. You need to believe in what you're selling, not only the product and service, but the organization that they're going to be able to deliver, that you're going to be able to do a great job for your clients. And you need to have that confidence to address the needs and concerns of your prospects and clients. And you need to be able to close the sale and believe that you can close the sale. Dealing with imposter syndrome makes sales very, very difficult. It affects your ability to believe that you can. And the worst part is that you're afraid that your clients or prospects are going to see through you. Maybe even think you're a fraud. And then they won't trust you. And they certainly won't buy from you. Imposter syndrome can be very difficult to beat. But like Rachel, we absolutely have ways to kick it to the curb. Now, last week I shared clarity from introspection, how to find your hidden superpowers. And today I'm going to be discussing imposter syndrome, be gone, how to confidently show up in sales. The confidence, that inner fire and passion that you feel about your product, your service, the organization, and how you're going to be able to help and serve your clients is absolutely crucial to be able to show up as your best self in sales. And if you suffer from imposter syndrome like Rachel, that's going to be difficult. So by the end of today's show, you're going to know how imposter syndrome shows up in sales, why your feelings may be limiting your sales progress, and why reframing your thoughts and recognizing your worth is your key to unlock sales success. It's about peeling back the curtain to reveal your wonderful self and how you help and serve others. And sales is the vehicle that enables you to do so. Now, before we can talk about getting rid of imposter syndrome in sales, let's be clear on what it is. Because this was something that I struggled with initially. I thought it was something like self-doubt. And literally thought it's just really exacerbated or really exaggerated self-doubt. It's not. It truly is that feeling that you don't deserve a seat at the table. Psychology, I should say, today defined imposter syndrome as a psychological phenomenon in which people are unable to internalize their accomplishments. People with imposter syndrome often feel like frauds, and their success is based on luck rather than skill, and that somehow they have fooled the people around them into believing that they're more competent than they actually are. I mean, this is this core limiting belief that's inside of them. These people's doubts of their own qualifications are contrary to the external evidence that indicates that they are as competent as people believe them to be. So having this definition and knowing what imposter syndrome is, let's pivot and talk about the way it shows up in sales. In sales, imposter syndrome can make you feel like you're tricking people into believing that you know what you're talking about or doing. You may have automatic thoughts that go off in your head about your lack of strengths and abilities in sales. With imposter syndrome, you may refuse to internalize your sales accomplishments. You may even feel like you don't deserve the sale or your clients. If any of the above ring true for you, and there's a good chance that you suffer from imposter syndrome. And the first step to overcoming it is to accepting that it's part of your way of thinking. Currently, it's part of your way of thinking, and that can be changed. What if instead of an imposter, your clients and colleagues around you see you as a hero? Your clients most likely do see you as being an incredible asset to their extended team. In sales, it's easy to interpret or project something that's going on with the client and make it personal, making it more about us. Now, this is true for everyone, not just people who have imposter syndrome. And when we make it about us, more about us, then we're viewing the situation from our perspective and not thinking about the client's perspective. And this is also a really crucial way in which imposter syndrome shows up in our sales. We've really pivoted our attention to, rather than it being about our client, to being about us. So I want to talk about one example of how imposter syndrome shows up in sales, and that's follow up. One of the biggest challenges many people face in sales is following up, especially when they're ghosted. In other words, we're not hearing back from the client. It's like dead air, right? They're not calling us back. They're not emailing us back. They're not texting us. They're not DMing us, nada. There's this literally no communication on any channel, and it's radio silence. Now, with imposter syndrome, you can start projecting negative thoughts and feelings, such as they don't like me, they're not interested anymore, I did something wrong, they found somebody else to work with. And once again, this is true for people not just with imposter syndrome, but other people in sales who are battling some self-limiting beliefs and self-doubt. Your mind can just go in all kinds of directions. The sale isn't going to go through. I'm not going to win this client. These are all self-limiting beliefs, and they're being projected by yourself. With imposter syndrome, it's going to dampen your desire to continue pursuing the sale. It's literally going to be putting a weight on you to just give up. When you pursue the sale, you're providing value with each follow-up activity. But with imposter syndrome, your thoughts are translating the silence of your prospect into automatic thought patterns. And truth be told, the number one overwhelming reason you're not receiving a response from your client is because they're busy. I want everyone to think about this for a minute, because this is such a common thing in sales. How many of you right now have emails in your inbox that came in yesterday and you have not responded to yet? Heck, I've got some I've probably from a week ago that I haven't responded to. I mean, I get really busy. We all do. So when you find yourself registering these automatic thoughts from imposter syndrome or from self-doubt, pause and ask, how am I projecting my own self-limiting beliefs into this situation and onto the client? You need to stop and remind yourself that the most likely scenario is that they're busy. Your prospect is busy. They've received the value you delivered, and you did inch the sale forward because you're being present. You're showing up. Therefore, it's time for your next follow-up. What's beautiful is now you have the opportunity to provide additional value and show them that you're going to be there in the long term. It demonstrates what it's going to be like to work with you. When they sign that contract and when they move forward, they know that you're going to show up, that you're going to follow up, that you're going to take care of things. This reminds me of a situation that came up recently where my client was literally tearing her hair out because she hadn't received a response back from her prospect. As a result, desperation was setting in. She really wanted to close the sale. She needed to close the sale. Now, she knew she had an incredibly great solution for her prospect, and they'd had some great meetings. She knew she could serve and help her prospect create real impact for their business. And this starts coming up, what's going on, what's causing the desperation to creep in, what is really happening. In some cases, this is where imposter syndrome has really reared its ugly head. Now, in this case, I walked through the situation with my client, recognizing and helping her recognize that her prospect needed time to process the information she had provided. This was not about her, it was about the client and what they needed. Very few sales happen instantly, and certainly not with big organizations. So I helped her reframe her mindset. And instead of projecting her fears, she was able to absorb where the client was in their thinking at that moment and really reposition what type of information they needed to hear from her to move incrementally forward. What mattered to them? Why would moving forward with the program make a difference and have an impact for them right now? What was it going to look like for them in 30 days or 60 days from now? Now, she did her follow-up. She continued to do her follow-up, and she closed the sale. Imposter syndrome shows up in sales all the time, especially in follow-up activities where no response is forthcoming. So when this happens, here are some steps that you can take to pause and assess. Ask yourself, am I projecting my own self-limiting beliefs onto the situation, onto my prospect? And am I getting in my own way? Next, ask what's really happening with the client. What do they want, need, or lack at this stage? Why does it matter to them? What problem is my product or service solving? What area of concern is it addressing? Why does it matter to them? So they can achieve what? Now, step 3, now that you've refocused your attention onto your client, you're ready to take the next step and follow up with an action that matters to them now. What is it they need to hear from you? And to help move that sale forward. This is going to unlock your sales success. And it brings me to a very important fact. I've already stated it, but I'm going to say it again because it's that important. Very few clients are ready to purchase right in the moment. And of course, there's a number of factors. It could be your specific product or service that they need more information on. It could be the investment to be made. There could be other decision makers, and so on. There are a lot of factors. In the B2B sales, there are normally many follow-up activities and additional meetings and information to be provided before closing the sale. In fact, statistics show that 92% of salespeople give up at the 4th follow-up activity. Well, heck, a whopping 42% never follow up at all. But after the 4th time, 92% just give up, which means they are turning that prospect over to their competition. All right? Because most sales occur after the 5th follow-up, and so on and so on. Not just the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th. 80% of the sales are made by 20% of the salespeople. It's because they're selling to the clients that have been abandoned by all the rest. So don't abandon your prospect. And we've established that imposter syndrome specifically shows up in your sales in follow-up. So I want to go over some things to remember. So when you hear these negative automatic thoughts, you can counteract them. I want to follow up and deliver value. This will demonstrate to my prospect what it's going to be like to work with me, because I'm really good at this. I'm going to create real impact for them. They need to be working with me. Therefore, I'm going to move past my negative self-limiting thought pattern and continue to show up for my prospects in my follow-up activities. By doing this, you are positioning your sales to capture and close a heck of a lot more fantastic relationships, right? The joy of sales. You get to help and serve and create lasting impact. And these long-term relationships will become warm referrals, introductions, testimonials, and the opportunity to do even more business with your clients. Remember, when you're going through the journey and eradicating imposter syndrome, you're doing it for a reason, right? And that's to feel empowered to achieve your own goals, your own sales goals, to be better, to do better. It's a gift you're going to give to yourself. What was the biggest takeaway from this episode? I would love to hear about it. It's important to support the things you love. And if you love this episode, a 5-star review really helps keep the show coming to you regularly. Also, if you want to get more sales strategies to grow your business, make sure you subscribe right now. Today, I explored imposter syndrome be gone, how to confidently show up in your sales and in your follow-up activities. The key is for you to begin this journey to implement these steps to stop wasting your time, energy, and resources. If you want to get results even faster, I invite you to download my sales strategy checklist at petitetoqueen.com checklist. Now, next week on Get More Clients, I will be sharing what's holding you back, leverage affirmations to reach new levels in your sales. It's going to be a great show. I'll see you next week. This has been Lynn Whitbeck, host of Get More Clients.